Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Two for Tuesday here on the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am your hostess this evening, Cleveland Kate, along with the fabulous Dana OG, the luscious Lisa J, and the manic mom 23RN Miss Sonia. Oh, we are so excited to be with you. 2 weeks in the books for the NFL. It already feels like the season's over for quite a few teams. And there are a lot of teams that we will talk about tonight riding high on their undefeated 2-0 record. I saw some of these fan bases talking about the Super Bowl, and I'm sure Lisa will be telling them all to cool their jets when we talk about how these teams are doing. And to top off our Two for Tuesday, there are two quarterbacks that we picked out this week that we really want to talk a little bit about. You can't do a Tua without Tua and Bryce Young. We're going to talk a little bit about both of them. But first, we want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Donkey's Place. 3 locations, Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. Best cheesesteaks ever. And I will tell you, ladies, this. I placed an order on Gold Belly today. It will be at my house next Monday, and it says it can hold for 2 or 3 days. So I am going to make myself, and I'm going to eat a Donkey's cheesesteak live on next week's podcast. I'll try not to
That's
talk.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I don't know. So I've been wanting to try it, and today I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to pull the trigger. So I got a 4-pack, so I can't share them with you guys, but my husband will have one. I'll have one. I'll let you. Probably won't be leftovers, but we love Donkey's Place. They're also the sponsor of one of our fantasy football leagues, the Donkey's Cup, a very coveted trophy. I think my fantasy football life is over. I'm going to write apology letters to Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Isaiah Pacheco. Like, the list is long and distinguished of I have 2 fantasy teams, and I have 4 players that are already on some kind of an IR.
Mm-hmm,
so
me too.
I apologize. I feel like it's my fault.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I think where we should really start this week. Oh, by the way, if you are watching us on Facebook or Twitter, please come over to YouTube. Those are YouTube. Those are very fabulous platforms, and we love them, and we love our followers there. But on YouTube, we have a chat, and you can chat, and we will read your chats, and we will read your questions, your comments. Some of y'all, there's Sue. Hi, Sue. Some of y'all crack us up. When Kristen and Camden, and when they're in the right frame of mind, they are hilarious. We'll also answer questions during the show. We'll keep an eye on the chat. So you can participate with us if you come over and watch us on YouTube. So 2 for Tuesday. 2 quarterbacks we really want to have some stuff going on. I think we should start with the one that I think is really more serious and is a bigger deal, which is Tua Tagovailoa. Just got himself a big deal with the Miami Dolphins. Lisa got himself in a little bit of physical trouble this week and didn't get to finish the game. What's going on with Tua? What are they doing with him? What is his prognosis? What are your thoughts?
Well, the thing about this is very different from the last ones that he's had, because the first one, it's like, okay, the second one, getting a little concerned. Third one has just caused a whole debate about whether he should retire. And ultimately, everybody knows it's his decision. I mean, some of these debates are getting heated with, people, you can't tell him what to do. It's always about the best interest of the player. What we know is CTE is real. We know that it's detected later on as the players get older, as we all know this. So the concern in the debates are, this is his 3rd concussion. How many have been undiagnosed? How many more has he had that have gone? The question for me is not the reality of now, because obviously you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better 6-7 weeks. You're going to feel better. But when you say what's the best interest, how can you not say the best interest would be to stop playing football, right? That is your best interest. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not about whether you can play this year, you can play, next year. It's what's going to happen in 10 to 15 years, 20 years, maybe. That's the concern that I have. And that's my biggest thing on the debate is it's not in the now, it's in the reality of in 20 years. Are we going to have him write a book like every other player has and try to sue the neurologist? What neurology? And all of us have some form of medical training here, whether it's in animals or pediatrics, OBs. I mean, we all kind of know neurologists. Is there a neurologist on this planet that is going to say it's in your best interest to keep playing? Hell no.
Yeah.
No,
right?
and I mean, part of it for me, and Dana, I want your thoughts on this, is sort of the stigma of it, that they're seen as somehow being weak or something. You know, if you break an ankle, you can do an x-ray and see when it's healed. When you get a concussion, there's no test you can run to see how that brain looks until after they're gone, once they've passed away. Dana, why do they keep playing if they know they're hurt?
Well, I think that this comes from and actually, I think we've heard some of the players speak to this. It has more to do with that competitive drive that they have, that they feel fine, they feel normal, and it's, you know, kind of like, well, I right now in this moment, I feel fine, and so I'm fine to play. I think the thing that really struck me about this particular one is that this particular concussion is that, and I think that he had some in college too. If you guys remind me, I'm not sure if that is correct, but it was those two back to back. And I think so that we're already, what was that? Not last year, the season before.
Right.
He had a concussion. They let him come back to and got another one immediately. That was a real wake up call for the entire NFL, I think, and NFL fan bases. So then he did fine last year. You're like, okay. And then he got another one. And the thing of it is, and it when you watch that play, that doesn't look like a play that normally causes a concussion, right? Like it looked like a normal tackle. And so to me, that makes you wonder, how fragile is he? And how, not that I'm not saying that he's fragile. Because you're right, Lisa. I think that, you know, I don't want him to think that like he's weak or something. It has nothing to do with it. It's your brain, right? But the thing of it is that these professional players, they have such a competitive drive and they just want to win. And Tua knows how good he can be, and he knows how good this team could be, and he doesn't want to be the reason that they're not good. And so I can't imagine all that pressure and all the internal pressure, maybe external pressure from people we don't know about it. But I will tell you this, as much as I make fun of hipster homebrewer, when he kissed him on the head, when he walked off the field, I almost started to cry, because you could see it in his head coach that he was like, damn it, not again, not this player. And it was just heartbreaking to me. So I hope he does what's best for him. And Lisa, you're right. We cannot tell him what to do. Only he can tell him what to do. And hopefully his family ties in.
And that's the debate. I mean, that's understandable. It's, you know, you're going to, it just drives me crazy when they use the word best interest, because it's like, look, everybody knows the best interest is when you get these amount of concussions, just like Troy Aikman. We just don't know what's going to happen down the road. You know, like you said, I knew we were going to do the IR thing. The year thing might be a possibility. But I never thought he would retire. I honestly, like Dana said, I think it's too much into him. My worry is just the latter part of the years when he gets up there in age.
Some great comments from our chat that I just posted on the screen. It was very good.
Yep.
Very good.
Sonia,
very, very good.
Do you think he's putting the pressure to return on himself? He just got paid. He feels like he has to live up to that contract. Or do you think there are outsiders, his agent, are the other players? Are there other people coming at him from the outside, kind of encouraging him to come back and play?
Here's my thing on the contract is, you know, I don't know for a fact, but apparently there's no clauses about concussions or anything. So as a fan, I'll take the media part out of it and stuff. As a fan, it's kind of upsetting because you signed an injury-prone concussion guy that could possibly get one hit and be done with the NFL to that type of a contract with no contingency plan. You know, I mean, it's so at this point, looking forward, do the Dolphins, you know, start looking for a solid type backup that might be potentially come in to start? Do you start looking in the draft? Do you hit the trade wires? I mean, where does this leave us with him? That's the problem. Where does this leave us for the next 4 or 5 years? I don't want to do this every year, guys. I don't want to, you know, rely on one guy every single year could take this type of hit. we've seen quarterbacks take this hit, like Dana said. We saw it last night with Jalen Hurts. We saw it last night. Hell, even Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's it's yeah, you can slide, but it's in these guys to get that first down. We've seen Josh Allen go head first numerous times and take worse hits. And I strongly believe that there are people that are just concussion prone. You can just be one of these people that have that type of structure that, could be dangerous. My thing as a fan is I don't want to go through the next 4 or 5 years of this.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to. Somebody posted it in the comments I'm going to put it up again. Kristen's. It was very hard to see. Watching it, every time he goes down, I'm like, because I know we all four remember last season, that one where he stood up and started to walk and then went right back down again.
2 seasons ago. Yep.
2 seasons ago.
Yep.
Sonia, do you worry about that every time you see him go down?
Literally, I do. I mean, it's just been it's really scary to watch, honestly. And I kind of get that feeling like when I'm watching my kid do gymnastics and you're like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
And I get that feeling watching him, right? But I also think that he's an athlete. And that's something that while we understand, we don't understand. We don't know what that drive is like. And we can all say, yeah, he should retire. He should step away. But we don't know what that competitive drive feels like, what that is. I mean, and that's the one thing that I don't know how to relate to that from a regular layperson standpoint. And what does that feel like? So there's that. And, like Kristen said, young people sometimes feel invincible, and that's probably adding into that as well. And he's a good kid. He's a good guy. So I'm sure also that pressure of, I literally just signed this contract.
Yeah.
This is what happens, so I feel bad for him, and I hope he does come up with the right decision, but yikes, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough few weeks.
Well, and I think ultimately it's his decision.
Exactly.
But there's another quarterback in the league who did not have it within his control to make the decision on whether or not he would be playing next Sunday, and that would be Bryce Young. Sonia, what are the Panthers doing with Bryce Young?
They made a mistake. I mean, Lisa has said this from day one. They banged the drum. Sorry, Panthers fans. But she's been banging the drum that they made a mistake. And I really do feel badly for him. I feel like he hasn't had he's been given enough chances, but also at the same time, he's kind of gotten into some bad situations. And so I just really feel badly for him. The organization, I mean, I guess my question has been, is there a person to blame for this? Like, do you blame your scouting department? Do you blame, who do you blame? Is anybody to blame for that? That's one of my bigger questions, but I feel bad. He hasn't thrown a touchdown this season yet. He's had 3 interceptions. It's gone back through last season. So yeah, you got to make a change.
Well, and he's been sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help. Dana, if the Panthers had drafted CJ Stroud, would he be getting benched this week?
Maybe. Let's be totally honest on what has happened in this situation. The Panthers organization is a disaster right now. And you look at what has happened with Bryce Young. It's his second season after a disastrous season last year where it got everybody fired, right? Mm-hmm. He comes in, new scheme, new OC, new play caller, new everything. And they gave him 2 games and 1 series in preseason to learn it. I don't know that that's fair. I feel like he has literally been completely screwed over and now has a coach that didn't draft him. Understandable. This new head coach didn't draft him. He might not want him, and that's fair. But let's be honest. This kid hasn't had time to show you anything, right? We knew what a disaster that was. That line is Swiss cheese. And yet somehow this is Bryce Young's fault. I don't think so. I'm not saying he's some super duper quarterback. I'm not saying that he would have succeeded in at the Texans like CJ has. If they had swapped, who knows, right? But at the same time, I just really feel like I'm heartbroken for a kid who hasn't been taught a new system or given time to learn it but he was expected to perform at a higher level. Now, should he have at least been able to throw a touchdown? Yeah, he should have. He's been sacked 6 times. So who knows? So I just feel bad for the whole situation. I feel bad for Andy Dalton having to come in there and try and save this team, because then what happens if even Andy Dalton can't let's say Andy Dalton wins 2 out of the next 5, right? So then what does that mean? You just put him back in and let him get crunched and let him learn? I don't know. It's a bad situation from the get.
Right.
It's an entirely bad team. That's why I throw out this could easily be CJ. While I, as a Buckeye homer, preferred CJ to Bryce in the draft, I saw Bryce play in college. But when you look at what the Texans as an organization did to prepare for CJ, and then what the Panthers have done, which is somewhere next to nothing, Lisa, is he better off sitting? He's not getting hurt.
No,
he might be trade bait for the Dolphins
2 games,
or someone else who's looking.
2 games. I mean, the Panthers have failed Bryce Young. Bryce Young did not fail the Panthers. And to ultimately say this was on him is wrong. David Tapper should have brought a coach in. No, we don't know. Almost like Miami did with McDaniels. You have to be all in on your quarterback. That's your first thing. This is the kid that we drafted number 1. This is the kid that you are going to mentor. This is the team. This is the kid that you're going to have to bring a coaching staff in to coach. So I'm not hearing any of that. It just seems like they just threw the kid to the wolves, and it was just like, yeah, okay, this is the best coach. David Tapper's a nightmare for the Panthers. I mean, it is just. I mean, it's so unorganized the way they're running it. Ass backwards. It's like, oh, now we're going to bench you and sit you behind Andy Dalton. Now we're trying to say, oh, we made a mistake. We should have groomed him along. No, you shouldn't have. You should have put players around him. You should have put talent around him. You should have got an offensive line. You should have got a coach that believed in the kid and wanted to coach the kid. So to me, it's you got to just hope maybe a light bulb will go off. Maybe he'll go to another team next year. But
that's what Kristen is saying in comments. She's like, I heard the rumor of trading Bryce to be a backup for Tua. That would actually be the best thing that ever happened to Bryce Young.
You got to get the kid coached up. You got to have a coach that believes in the kid.
And I think that's where this fails.
Right.
And I think Dana, you and Lisa both hit it. When you say you need a coach who believes in the kid, and Dana, when you're like, this new coach didn't draft him. But isn't that should have been part of the coaching interview?
Exactly.
Right?
It probably was.
Yeah. Who took him number 1. You need to come in here and run this team and help us build something around this kid. And I don't feel like that's what they got.
We have never even in press conference or anything, even hear like endorsements from these guys. Like, oh, we're going to do this. Right. We've never heard that. The first thing you heard out of McDaniels now is we're going to get him going. We're going to, you never hear, you don't hear this out of this regime. And that's what's so scary. And if you're a college quarterback right now, I don't want to go to the Panthers. Oh, you think the Bandit family is going to let Arch, if he decides to come out to go to them? Hell no.
No, he'll pull an Eli and say, hell no, I'm not going.
Eli.
Exactly.
Listen, we need to move on, and we need to talk about a team that has a quarterback who started his career with the Panthers and now has the Minnesota Vikings at 2-0, Sam Darnold. Dana, what's going on with these 2-0 teams 2 weeks into the season?
So as we were talking before the show started, there's some 2-0 teams that made a lot of sense. We're like, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs, by the skin of your teeth, managed to go 2-0. And it's like, oh, okay, we believe that. Where's San Francisco? Nobody knows. That makes me so happy. I have no idea. But however, did anyone expect the Chargers to go 2-0? Maybe. Evil Harbaugh. It's not a shocking surprise. But right now, there are 9 teams that are 2-0 that are left that are undefeated. So in the AFC, you have the Bills, which are 2-0. Not really surprising, although questionable after that first week game against Arizona. You have the Chargers and the Chiefs in the AFC West. You have the Steelers in the AFC North, and then the Texans in the AFC South. And then when you go over to the NFC, you have no teams in the NFC East that are 2-0. Commanders. I told you guys. Anyway, you have the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC West. You have the Vikings that are 2-0 in the North, and then the Saints and the Buccaneers. Now, here's the thing. When you look at all of these teams, to me, there are a couple that stick out. that they're 2-0. The Vikings is absolutely one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We knew Sam Darnold could play. I don't think we realized how much the rest of the team was going to rally around him and how solid they have that team running. Very impressive. You have the Seattle Seahawks. I think that a lot of people expected them to go 2-0 just simply because of the teams that they played, right? So they had the Denver Broncos, which not very many people had faith in. Then the New England Patriots, who maybe we should have had some faith in, because that team, they beat Cincinnati first week and took it to overtime in the second week. I think I'm very shocked with you, Gerard Mayo. I'm loving it. Even though you're not 2-0, I'm loving what's happening up there. But then you have the Steelers, who had their – yes, Darcy, I know. I picked them to win the division, Darcy. Don't forget. But, yeah, so did Kate. But the interesting thing about it is that there's these couple of surprise teams. To me, ladies, the Saints and that blowout win against the Dallas Cowboys.
At home.
Could have pushed me over with feather, people. I'm was shocked at that point. I did not expect that out of them. And then the Buccaneers, again, another team that we knew would do well this season. I don't think we thought they would take off quite. Baker Mayfield looks good, y'all. He looks really good.
He's healthy.
Yes, you did. He is healthy. That
Totally.
makes a huge, huge difference. I totally agree. But the Bills being 2-0, like I said before, and the Chiefs being 2-0 is not a surprise. And so I do want to talk a minute about the Chargers, the Steelers, which is, I'm sure, not something that Kate wants to talk about right now. So sorry. However, this is my issue with the 2-0 team. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone is going on and on how they just need to leave Fields in there. He's winning these games. Don't worry about Russell Wilson. And I have no bias towards Russell Wilson at all. As you guys know, he's a quarterback. So therefore, right? But you tell me how you can be so sure about Fields when he can only score 13 points in a game. I mean, they're winning by these tiny little numbers. There doesn't seem to be much consistency. I don't understand the big brouhaha about how excited we are about Justin Fields when the numbers that he's putting up are so interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's Fields. I think it's just Tomlin. I think when you got a coach like him, this is Steelers football. I mean, he wants to run the ball, ground and pound. You know, he doesn't want to be a high scoring coach. He wants to win football games. And I think it just comes all back to him. And like I said, it's coaching. Coaching matters. And
Naturally.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it's going to be interesting. I see Russell doing almost the same thing as Fields, to be honest with you. I kind of put him the same. You might get a little bit more veteran-ness out of Russell. We don't know.
Balls. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, like you said, you're not winning by much, but so I don't see any point in seeing what Russell can do. I don't think it's a big flux.
Well, there's no point in rushing him back for sure.
Exactly. So at this point, especially I don't think it's like a huge quarterback controversy yet. But I think that
fans sure think so.
I just think it's Tomlin. I just do. I think coaching matters, and I think you can put these wins on him
for sure. So a couple of little comments in here. Kristen's loving the surprises. Yeah, it is a good season so far to watch.
Only week 2.
Oh, it's okay, Lisa. So then Bob, hello, Bob. Welcome to the show and to the chat. If George Skittle.
George Skittle.
I'm here with you, Bob. If George Skittle gets hurt, the Niners will be in real trouble.
Wasn't he there?
I think
it was
cramps. He just
it was just cramps. Yeah. I looked it up. It was cramps.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a second.
Maybe. Darcy's like, Minnesota, New Orleans are the surprises to me. The Saints more and how they're doing it offensively.
What's with Alvin Kamara?
Right? Where did he come from? Good Lord.
Jesus, I got him in the late rounds of fantasy. Is just like it's like he's got a whole new lease on life.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Did you start him?
I did.
Okay. Good for you.
Absolutely. 3 weeks in a row. Got 50 points last week. For me, the surprise, and I know we're talking about the 2-0 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised that Houston's 2-0.
Me neither.
I'm surprised that the rest of their division is 0-2.
Yeah.
My poor Indianapolis.
I expected more from the Colts. I expected more from even though my team played the Jaguar. That surprised me more than Houston being 2-0.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Sonia, what about you?
I'm surprised that the Vikings are 2-0, to be quite honest. I didn't think that they, like you said, I didn't think that they were going to rally around Sam Darnold. I didn't think Sam Darnold was going to be the guy. But he is, I mean, but they've got a talented team, I think, around them. So I think that really, really helps. So that's probably my biggest surprise is that they are 2-0. But yeah, that's my biggest surprise. I'm keep my eyes on them.
It's not going to last through next week because the Texans play the Vikings next week. So we'll see what happens there. The Saints have to play the Eagles, which that game last night, we could do a whole show on that game last night. That was just like,
thank God for the Manning cast because I needed Peyton and Eli to get me through that game last night.
That's a good game. Yeah. That was a good game.
It was a good game. It was so back and forth. But
you hate kicking. I don't know why. I figured you would hate that game.
It just
Dana beat me in fantasy football because she had their kicker.
Yeah, I did.
What do you get, like 50 points? Like, you got a ton of points on your kicker.
I know.
It was one of those games where mistakes cost teams.
Yes.
Because when are these young coaches going to stop going for it on 4th and 3 and stuff in their own end zone? I mean, never. in their the opponent's territory. That is, McDaniels did it, failed. They got 3 points. This guy did it. That's a 3-point difference right there.
That's the win
because you didn't make it. I mean, it's like I'm all for being aggressive, but on the other side of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's another one. The Chargers are also playing the Steelers this next week.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
We'll knock one out for sure. Let's see. Who else is Chiefs play the Falcons? Let me see.
Where did the 2 Monday night games come from? What's up?
I don't know. Why are we doing that already?
Why are we doing? Are we doing it at the same time? I mean, the commercials were like showing two at a time. Yeah. I'm like, what?
6:30. They're 45 minutes apart.
Oh, so stupid! Crying out loud!
I know, it's so stupid. And then
the algorithm.
The Seahawks play the Dolphins this week. So it's going to be an interesting little mix-up this weekend, but we'll knock those numbers down of the undefeated teams because 4 of them play each other, so that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's going to about wrap us up for tonight. I just wanted to throw out there, a couple weeks ago we talked about the new kicking rules.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we didn't talk about, and I wasn't even aware that it was a rule, is apparently the kicker can't cross the 50 before someone touches the ball. Because my Browns kicker got flagged for that on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the point of that is and who you're protecting by saying the kicker can't step across the 50. But dude had a foot across, and it cost us big because we had knocked the ball out of the returner's hands and recovered it. And so it took away a takeaway. But I just thought I would bring that up. Apparently kickers can't go across the 50. It's like reminds me of icing in hockey or something. Like,
right.
Oh yeah.
It actually almost
near
is.
the play. He's not doing anything, but
he has to kick the ball and stay put.
He has to kick it and stay there until it either hits the ground or someone touches it, and then he can move forward.
When did these kickers start launching 50 to 60-yard field goals? Good
when
God.
You said that they had one job. And
that's your one job, baby.
It's your fault, Lisa.
My God, they're 59s, 58s. I mean, they're launching these things.
It's not winter yet, though. Keep that in mind. The wind hasn't kicked up yet. We haven't had, you know what I mean? It's pretty good.
Yep. Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I don't think the new kicking I swear to God, if I hear the word dynamic in a podcast in a class one more time, I'm gonna cry. But I don't think it's working as well as they were hoping it would.
Well, they're kicking them all in the end zone.
They are, because it's safe to know where they're gonna.
They're not doing week the little
one.
box.
They ran.
And there's still confusion. Jacksonville wanted to do an onside kick in the 4th quarter, and the ref's like, no. And let me explain the rule to you again. You can't. You can't do that on a punt. Like having to explain them. They'll figure it out eventually. Let's see. Thank you again to Donkeys, the official sponsor, Donkeys Place of the Our Turf Football Podcast. I believe tomorrow, right, we will have a poll up. We'll take a look at the games this weekend, and we'll put up a poll. So you guys can let us know.
By the way,
absolutely
God.
fabulous job of picking
Yeah.
the game last week. That Chiefs Bengals
Yes,
game.
y'all did a great job.
That
Thank
was
you
a
so
good
much.
game.
Gave me something great to watch. So
Yeah.
thank
So
you.
we should look, Dana, and put up at least some of the games where the 2-0 teams play each other
Yeah,
as
let's do that.
options. Those might be
It
good.
gotta be. Yeah,
So-
gotta be.
But for Dana, Sonia, Lisa, the luscious Lisa, and myself, Cleveland Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow night, right here at 8:00, is the Our Turf Football Podcast College Edition, where Miss
Yep.
Sonia and I and our friend Michelle will be talking college football. And then we'll be right back here next Tuesday for regular football. In the meantime, stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.